They say you should never corner a quiet man, for you do not know the depths of the storm you are about to unleash. In a world of noise and empty posturing, there exists an energy that is both silent and absolute, an observer who misses nothing. Most will mistake this stillness for weakness, a void to be filled with their own ego and provocations. They do this only once. Welcome to the Sigma male community, the sanctuary for men who walk their own path, governed not by the loud demands of the crowd, but by the unwavering compass of their own internal code. Here we don't chase validation, we forge sovereignty. We understand that true power isn't about the noise you make, but the silence you command. Today we delve into the core of that silence, exploring the profound and often startling reasons why provoking a man who operates on this level is a gamble you are almost guaranteed to lose. This isn't a threat, it is a fundamental law of nature, an exploration of the deep, strategic calm that the unwise mistake for an easy target. 1. The time bender. When you challenge a Sigma, you are not engaging in a simple, linear exchange of action and reaction. You are stepping into a different dimension of time, one they control with unnerving mastery. Your jab, your insult, your attempt to destabilize them lands not on fertile ground for an immediate, emotional outburst, but in a quiet, analytical void. They absorb the entirety of your provocation, the words, the tone, the intent behind it, and file it away with the cold precision of a master archivist. This is not weakness or passivity, it is a deliberate, strategic hibernation of their response. They understand a core tenet of power that eludes most. An immediate reaction is an emotional one, and an emotional reaction is a loss of control. By refusing to meet your fire with fire, they allow your burst of energy, your adrenaline, to spike and then dissipate into nothingness, leaving you exposed and your powder spent. While you move on, convinced you've landed a blow or asserted dominance, the Sigma's process has only just begun. Within their mind, your action is being deconstructed, analyzed from every angle, and its consequences mapped. Time is their forge, where they smelt your raw provocation into a finely tuned instrument of response. Days, weeks, or even months later, long after the incident has faded from your memory, they will act. Their countermove will not be a clumsy, vengeful strike, but a moment of surgical precision. A comment, an action, a strategic revealing of a truth, so perfectly timed and contextually devastating that it retroactively redefines the entire history of your interaction. You threw a rock. They waited for the avalanche it would trigger and then simply guided its path. Pushing them is activating a slow-moving, unyielding force that operates on a timeline you cannot comprehend, ensuring that when the response comes, it is not just a reaction but a conclusion. 2. The Unfiltered Truth-Teller. If you seek comfort in convenient lies and the soft padding of social platitudes, then provoking a Sigma is an act of self-sabotage. Their default state is one of quiet observation, tolerating the daily theater of social interactions with a detached understanding. However, the moment you cross a fundamental boundary of respect or integrity, you have flipped a switch. This provocation acts as a key, unlocking a vault of brutal, unvarnished honesty that they typically keep reserved. The social contract is, in their eyes, broken, and with it, any obligation to soften reality for your comfort. They will not engage in a shouting match or trade insults. Instead, they will present you with a mirror you were not prepared to look into, reflecting your own motives, insecurities, and the flawed logic of your actions with devastating clarity. This is not an act of cruelty, but the raw expression of their core integrity refusing to participate in a charade you initiated. The Sigma's currency is truth, and when challenged, they spend it lavishly. That carefully constructed self-image you project to the world? They will dissect it with the calm, steady hand of a surgeon, pointing out the inconsistencies and the foundational cracks you've desperately tried to hide. They speak not from a place of malice, but from a perspective that sees pretense as a profound waste of energy. The raw, unadulterated truth you were so clearly unready to hear becomes the sole and direct consequence of your decision to test their boundaries. They will give you exactly what you asked for, a dose of reality, undiluted and absolute. 3. The Silent Chessmaster. Never, ever misjudge the man who is quiet in a room full of loud voices. While you are posturing, boasting, and maneuvering for position, the Sigma's mind is operating on a completely different strategic level. It is a silent supercomputer, constantly running simulations, absorbing data points, and mapping the intricate web of human dynamics. They see the subtle alliances, the hidden resentments, the unspoken desires that drive the actions of everyone around them. Your attempt to provoke them is not a clever, unexpected move. To them, it is a predictable, almost cliché gambit on a chessboard they have already committed to memory. They have seen your move and the 10 moves that will follow it, before you've even conceived of them. You believe you are playing checkers, making a bold jump. They are playing three-dimensional chess, and your move has just willingly walked you into a checkmate that was set up an hour ago. This profound foresight renders your efforts almost tragically futile. Trying to outmaneuver a Sigma is like trying to ambush a grandmaster who has already studied every game you have ever played. They are not reacting to your present action. They are responding to the predictable pattern of your character. Their mind is a fortress of strategic depth, built on a foundation of relentless observation and a stoic refusal to be swayed by the emotional currents of the moment. They remain calm not because they are unaffected, but because they are unsurprised. Your provocation is not a disruption to their peace. It is merely a confirmation of their analysis, a final data point that completes a picture they had already painted. They will not be drawn into your game. They will simply let you play it out until you inevitably corner yourself. 4. The boundary enforcer. For the Sigma male, personal boundaries are not suggestions. They are sacrosanct, non-negotiable lines drawn around their sovereign territory of mind and energy. When you deliberately cross one of these lines, you are not initiating a negotiation or a conflict. You are triggering an expulsion protocol. Their response is not to push you back across the line, but to erase the line, the path you took to get there, and you along with it. This isn't a dramatic, explosive confrontation. It is far more chilling in its finality. One moment you exist within their orbit, a known quantity. The next, you are met with a silence so complete, a disconnection so total, that you cease to exist in any meaningful way to them. You become a ghost, a phantom they look through as if you were never there. This act of unpersoning is not born of anger or a desire for revenge. It is the ultimate expression of self-preservation, executed with the ruthless efficiency of a natural law. A body expels a toxin, a Sigma expels a toxic influence. There will be no screaming match, no lengthy explanation, no opportunity for you to plead your case. To do so would be to expend more of the very energy you sought to drain. The verdict has been delivered in the silent court of their judgment, and the sentence is severance. By pushing them, you have demonstrated that you are a liability to their most precious resource, their inner peace. And the cost of that transgression is your permanent and absolute erasure from their world. You don't just get pushed out, you get deleted. 5. The unpredictable depths. Looking at a Sigma is like staring at the surface of a deep, still ocean. It is calm, reflective, and reveals nothing of the immense pressure and hidden life teeming in its fathomless depths. This placid exterior is a masterclass in emotional opacity. Their true thoughts, their core feelings, and their ultimate intentions are kept under a lock and key of their own design, visible only when they choose to grant you a glimpse. When you try to provoke them, you are blindly poking at a black box with no understanding of its internal mechanisms. You have no way of knowing what you have just triggered. Will your provocation be met with a display of icy, irrefutable logic that dismantles your position? Will they simply turn and walk away, leaving you in a vacuum of your own making? Or will they unleash a sudden, controlled surge of dominance that leaves you completely stunned? This profound unpredictability is their greatest shield and your greatest risk. You are playing a game where you do not know the rules, cannot see the pieces, and have no idea what constitutes a win or a loss. Your actions are based on assumptions about how a person should react, but the Sigma operates outside of that predictable social programming. They are a system of one, governed by an internal logic that is entirely their own. This inherent mystery is not a flaw, it is a weapon. It keeps adversaries off balance, unable to formulate a coherent strategy against them. To provoke them is to willingly step into a fog of uncertainty, where the only predictable outcome is that the outcome will be entirely unpredictable. It is, in a word, madness. That low hum beneath the surface? That's the shared frequency. Whether you walk this path yourself or recognize the resonance, you understand the depth we're talking about here on the Sigma male community. This isn't about ego, it's about the inherent power and quiet sovereignty. Provocation isn't just annoying, it's an assault on a carefully constructed reality. You know the cost of disturbance. The world tries to poke the bear, we are the deep current. Remember why the stillness matters. 6. The selective dominance search. One of the most dangerous mistakes one can make is to interpret a Sigma's consistent state of reserve as a lack of strength or capability. They are not the alpha, constantly needing to display their power to reinforce their position. They are the quiet wolf, content to observe the pack from a distance, its power latent and conserved. However, when your provocation pushes them past a specific internal threshold of tolerance, prepare to witness a seismic shift in the fabric of the room. The quiet observer does not simply push back, they ascend. A formidable, undeniable authority surges forth, not through loud bluster or aggressive posturing, but through a sudden razor-sharp command of the situation, an unwavering presence that silences all else. It is a fundamental change in energy that is both chilling and absolute. In that moment, the entire dynamic is inverted, and you are faced with the stark realization that the quietest man in the room was always the most powerful entity present. He simply chose not to display it. His dominance was not something he was seeking. It was a tool he was forced to reluctantly and devastatingly deploy because your actions left him no other recourse to restore order and protect his peace. This is not the fragile ego of a man needing to prove himself. This is the reluctant king revealing his crown only when the kingdom is threatened. Your provocation did not challenge his power, it merely forced him to demonstrate it, a demonstration you will not soon forget. 7. The Pattern Decoder. The Sigma male possesses an almost unnerving intuition, a sixth sense that is not born of magic, but forged in the crucible of hyperobservation. While others are caught up in speaking, he is listening and, more importantly, watching. He reads the subtle shifts in your tone, the micro-expressions that flicker across your face, the unconscious tells in your body language. He decodes the data of human behavior with the skill of a master cryptographer. Therefore, your clever provocation, which you believe to be a stroke of genius, is, to him, a tired, predictable script he has seen enacted countless times before by people just like you. He sees the insecurity that fuels your actions, the predictable arc of your aggression, and even the escape routes you've mentally prepared for when your plan goes awry. You think you are setting a trap, but you are merely walking a well-worn path that he has already mapped out in his mind. Trying to surprise or outwit him is a futile exercise because he isn't reacting to your words. He's reacting to the underlying blueprint of your character, a blueprint you unknowingly hand him with every move you make. He sees the why behind your what, perceiving the architecture of your behavior as clearly as an engineer sees the schematics of a machine. This ability to decode patterns makes him perpetually one step ahead, not through aggression, but through a profound and silent understanding of the game being played. The nonsense filter. Within the operating system of the Sigma's mind exists a highly calibrated internal Geiger counter, one that is set to detect foolishness, and its tolerance is calibrated to absolute zero. Pointless drama, emotional incontinence, petty power plays, and blatant disrespect are not things to be engaged with. They are signals to be filtered out immediately. When you attempt to provoke him with such low-level noise, you are not initiating a conflict. You are activating his dismissal protocol. You will not be rewarded with the emotional engagement you crave. Instead, you will be met with one of two outcomes. Either a single, surgically precise statement that so perfectly exposes the absurdity of your position that it shuts down the entire conversation, or an even more powerful response, a silent, physical withdrawal from the situation. This withdrawal isn't a retreat, it's a judgment. It is the ultimate statement that you and your provocation are not worthy of his most valuable resource, his energy. Your attempt to rattle his cage does not create a fight. It creates a vacuum where he once stood, leaving you alone with the echo of your own nonsense. He understands a fundamental Stoic principle. You cannot control the foolish actions of others, but you can control your participation in them. By refusing to engage, he protects his peace and demonstrates that your noise, no matter how loud, shatters against the impenetrable wall of his silence. 9. The Information Reservoir. Do not mistake the Sigma's silence for emptiness. It is a vast, hidden archive, a mental database that is constantly recording, analyzing, and storing information. While others are broadcasting their every thought, he is in a state of perpetual absorption. He sees the details everyone else misses, he hears the whispers behind the loud conversations, and he remembers everything. That offhand, dismissive comment you made about a colleague 3 weeks ago? The subtle contradiction between the story you told last month and the one you are telling today? The fleeting look of panic in your eyes when a certain topic was raised? It is all logged, time-stamped, and cross-referenced in the vast repository of his mind. He is a walking, breathing intelligence agency of one. Provoking this man is one of the most perilous risks you can take, because it threatens to activate this database. The person you perceived as an easy, unassuming target suddenly reveals an encyclopedic, almost forensic knowledge of your history, your inconsistencies, and your vulnerabilities. He will not even need to raise his voice. He will simply reference a fact, a past statement of yours, with such pinpoint accuracy that it completely dismantles your current position and exposes your lack of integrity. You thought he wasn't paying attention, that you were invisible to him. The terrifying truth is that he was paying more attention than anyone else. He wasn't just listening, he was taking notes. 10. The Adaptability Engine. In the midst of chaos, when others are flailing and clinging to rigid, failing strategies, the Sigma finds his element. He is not a rock, stubbornly resisting the current. He is water, fluidly adapting his shape and approach to the terrain. When you provoke him, you are not attacking a fixed target. He will not adhere to a single, predictable script. Your attempt to force a specific reaction from him is doomed to fail because his response is tailored with ruthless pragmatism to the unique specifics of the threat. Will this situation be most efficiently neutralized by a strategic withdrawal? By a counter-argument of cold, unassailable logic? By a sudden assertion of dominance? Or by simply vanishing and denying you any further engagement? He will choose the path that most effectively preserves his peace and neutralizes the threat in that moment. This chameleon-like resilience makes him impossible to corner or control. Every tactic you employ is met with a dynamic, adaptive countermeasure that you did not anticipate. You attack with aggression, and he might respond with complete passivity, letting your energy exhaust itself. You attack with manipulation, and he might respond with brutal honesty, shattering your frame. This constant morphing of strategy is not a sign of weakness or indecision. It is a sign of ultimate strength. He is not bound by ego or the need to respond in a certain way. He is bound only by what works. Predictable tactics, born of ego and emotion, shatter against the fluid, intelligent engine of his adaptability. 11. The Resource Guardian. Above all else, the core programming of the Sigma male is to act as the fierce, unwavering guardian of his internal resources. These are the most precious treasures he possesses: his time, his mental energy, and his state of inner peace. From his perspective, an unwarranted provocation is not merely an insult or a challenge. It is a direct and hostile attempt to plunder these sacred assets. It is an energy tax he fundamentally refuses to pay. Therefore, every response he chooses, from the strategic patience to the surgical honesty to the absolute disconnection, is not primarily about you. It is about defending the sovereign territory of his own well-being. His actions serve one master and one master alone: the preservation and protection of his core equilibrium. This is the ultimate reason why provoking him is such a fool's errand. You believe you are engaging in a personal battle, a contest of wills. For him, you are simply a hostile variable that must be neutralized as efficiently as possible to protect the system. The response you receive is calculated not to wound your ego, but to ensure that you and others like you will think twice before ever attempting such a theft of his resources again. It is not personal, it is a matter of profound and absolute principle. Wasting his resources is the ultimate sin in his worldview, and it will be met with a response designed not just to stop you, but to serve as a permanent lesson in boundaries. In the end, it becomes clear. Provoking a Sigma is not a fight you can win. It is a storm you have foolishly and unwisely unleashed upon yourself. It's an attempt to draw a reaction from a man who has mastered the art of non-reaction, to outwit a mind that sees the game 3 moves ahead, and to drain energy from a source that is guarded with absolute vigilance. You do not gain power, you simply expose your own foolishness and lose access to a world you never truly understood. Respect the depths. Understand the silence. Here at the Sigma Male community, we are not just talking about a set of traits. We are exploring a philosophy of sovereign living in a world that constantly tries to pull you into its chaotic orbit. This is a path of self-mastery, resilience, and unshakable inner peace. If this deep dive into the Sigma mindset resonated with you, if you felt that frequency of quiet strength, then your journey with us is just beginning. Don't just watch, participate. Hit that like button to signal your understanding. Drop a comment below with your own experiences or insights. Your wisdom adds to the collective strength of this community. Share this video with another man who is walking this path, who needs this reminder of his own inherent power. And if you have not already, subscribe and, crucially, turn on all notifications. You do not want to miss the deep, practical guidance we are committed to providing. This is more than a channel. It is a modern Stoic's guide to navigating the world with integrity and power. Stay sovereign.